The Shock Therapy Podcast.
It's that boom, boom, boom.
At that point, electric current is passed between the electrodes in the head.
That shit just kicked in. I just feel like I smoked 1,000 blunts.
For discovery brings with it the penalties of society. Shame, arrest, prison.
Oh, sorry, I was taking life seriously.
I'm over the end dangerous territory. This is dangerous territory right here. I'm in.
I don't know what psychotic means, really.
What's happening, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the Shock Therapy Podcast for Tuesday, December 15th. I'm your host, Carson McGregor, getting into the holiday spirit with my family. We have put up the tree. We have put up lights. We have wrapped presents. I have not bought most of the presents yet, and it's getting pretty close, but Amazon's pretty good about that. It's the only time of the year I use Amazon. I'm not into the company at large, but around Christmas time, there's pretty much no other options, especially during COVID. Can't really go out and go to malls and stuff, or at least I don't want to go to malls and stuff right now. People are a little bit crazy, especially in Virginia. Yes, cases of COVID have spiked in Virginia again, and it's because everybody's acting like it's over. Everybody's acting like it's done. Oh yeah, we figured it all out. It's all over. It's not done yet. It's not fucking done yet. You still got to wear the mask on your face and try to avoid contact with people, but nobody's really seeming to do that. So I'm just trying to avoid really large public places right now. And I've been going on Reddit a lot more recently. And I did one of these episodes previously, and it's one of my favorite things to do is just kind of react to a certain subreddit. And I went back today to r/unpopularopinions, which I will tell you guys straight up, if you don't know anything about Reddit, you don't know anything about this sub specifically, it's gotten a lot of flack in the past. Some people saying that it's just kind of a place for people with really terrible, hurtful opinions to put them out there and say, well, it's just my opinion. Like, you're not supposed to, like, fucking tear me apart for just having an opinion. And then also other people putting non-unpopular opinions on there, just normal opinions, so that they can get all these people to upvote it and be like, oh my God, I feel this way too. Kind of cheating the system in that way. But I do like some of these. I have gone through this sub in the past and found some really funny shit or some really interesting shit. So I do like going through and seeing what I agree with, what I disagree with. And so we're just going to get right into that, going to the popular page of r/unpopularopinions. And here we go. Men who watch porn and don't want their daughter in the industry are hypocrites is by far the dumbest argument/statement I've ever heard in my life. Okay, so if you don't know much about this, what I'm doing right now, people post their opinion about something and try to get it out there because they don't feel like they're being heard in their own personal circles, I suppose. People don't really tend to agree with them in their experience, so they put it out there to see if they can find common ground with somebody. This one got really popular. It's kind of a weird statement to make because I don't really see a whole bunch of people saying that specifically. I can't tell you one time in my life I've heard somebody say, men who watch porn and say they don't want their daughters in the industry are hypocrites. I've never heard anybody fucking say that. I'm sure a bunch of people feel that way, but do people express that often? Often enough that this would be, a sticking point with this person? I don't know. I really don't know. Now, I sort of do agree with them. Just because you watch porn doesn't mean you want your daughter to become a porn star. Now, I think we do have to get past this part of human history where we look down upon sex workers in the way that we do. I don't think porn is a shameful thing to be involved in, but it sort of is. Just in the world we live in right now, it seems to be an industry where you go when all your other options have been exhausted. You don't really have anything else you can go to. A lot of failed actresses, a lot of people that wanted to do something in Los Angeles or something in one of these big Hollywood type of cities in the United States, and they just didn't work out, and they got tricked into doing it the first time for, you know, a paycheck, and then they kind of just kept doing it. That's like the typical story. Now, I don't really have much experience with like workers in the sex industry. I don't, but OnlyFans has really made that a lot more farmer's market, where you can just you can kind of start it up independently on your own dime, and make a bunch of money from the people on your social media page. Be like, hey, check out my OnlyFans. If you want to pay $14 a month, you can see me naked and doing all sorts of fun shit. I don't really know what my point is there, but I think it's kind of a smart option for a bunch of people. If you're like, look, I got to pay my way through college. I don't really have time to get a job because grad school is fucking difficult and time consuming, but I do have time to turn on my iPhone camera and perform some sexual act and put it out there. If I can make money off of doing that real quick, I can sustain myself, feed myself while I pursue higher education. That's fucking awesome. That's fucking great. I don't know why we would look down upon that. It's like, it's a life hack. It's really a life hack. Like, hey, if you do this thing, then you can make pretty quick, easy money. Waiting tables is the same way. Waiting tables, albeit, is not a particularly easy thing to do, especially if you work for a fancy restaurant or a super busy restaurant where there's a bunch of people that are assholes that go in. That's not a super easy position, but you can make a ton of money for what you're doing. You know, you go in, you work 6 hours, and you walk out of that bitch with like $250 and no college degree. Like, that is kind of a life hack of being young, unexperienced, and uneducated. You can do these things to make more money than people tell you that is you should or that's possible. So I think pornography is one of those things, but I do sort of agree with what he's trying to say here, that if you don't want your daughter to get into the industry, that's fair. I'm not gonna shit on some guy for not wanting his daughter to be a porn star or his daughter to be a stripper. That's some dad instincts right there. That's some parental instincts, because in their assertion, that's like a really fucked up thing to be involved in. So they don't want them to be involved in it. I don't know. It's tough though, because you do consume that content. If you do consume that content, then what does that say about you? That's actually a really tough one. It kind of provides this moral dilemma that I don't really have the answer to at this point. That is interesting though. If you deny your teen daughter birth control and she gets pregnant, it's your fault. I guess, in a roundabout sense, sort of. That things are clashing here in my mind. My love of people being accountable and people, you know, kind of being responsible for their own actions. I love that concept that, like, nobody's responsible for you. You're responsible for yourself. I think even in your teen years, a lot of that applies. Your parents are certainly responsible for you to a pretty massive degree. But at the end of the day, if you do something completely fucked up and completely shitty, then it's kind of on you. Now, getting pregnant isn't fucked up or shitty, but it's a whole different discussion. I don't know if it's on the parents 110%, but they do have, they're playing a role in that. You know, if a parent doesn't want their kid to get on birth control, it's likely because they don't want them to have sex. But that's kind of a lack of education on the parent's part. That's what it really comes down to. If you don't want your kid to have sex, that sucks. Because they're probably gonna. They're probably going to. It's really hard to prevent hormonal people from not acting on those hormonal urges if it's possible. You really have to drill religion or something like that into their heads pretty hard, or else you're not going to be successful in that attempt. I don't think it's 100% on the parents. I'm all for accountability, and if you get pregnant, it's on you and the person that got you pregnant. It's y'all. Y'all did that shit. But a parent not providing their teen daughter with birth control is super fucking misguided. Super fucking misguided, because it's not going to prevent them from having sex, you know? It's like at Christian colleges, they won't have condoms available. You know, most colleges in America, they have condoms available because they're aware that it's college kids. They're in their early 20s, late teens sometimes, and they're at a very hypersexualized age. Like, they just want to fuck all the time. So they're going to. And it's the first time they're out of their house, like their parents' house, and they have some type of independence. Like, there's going to be a lot of sex going on. So you have to provide birth control, i.e. condoms. It's just the responsible thing to do. But Christian colleges don't do that. They don't provide condoms because they're trying to be like, well, don't have sex. Just don't have sex. This is a Christian environment. We don't want you to be having sex, so we're not going to give you this birth control method as if we're promoting it. But that's not what it is. It's just misguided. It's just kind of an not anarchic. That's a totally different word. Antiquated way of thinking. Anarchic. Is that even a word? Anarchic? Like anarchy? Or am I just like saying Antarctic? But I said it wrong. I don't know. I prefer racists. Okay. I prefer racists to be right up in front and vocal about their beliefs because it makes them easier to avoid. I fucking agree with this 1,000%. That I actually do totally agree with this, because I remember Patrice O'Neal had a joke about this. The late Patrice O'Neal, one of my favorite comedians, he talked about how it's better for racists, people that have these racist tendencies, to just be not afraid to share them, especially in the world we live in where racism is kind of looked down upon. Like, most people wouldn't consider themselves to be racist. Like, everybody has this implicit bias inside of them. So even people that don't consider themselves racist often are in some way, shape, or form. But if somebody literally does not like, let's say, Filipino people, just specifically, I don't like Filipino people. That's a personal belief they have. Wouldn't it be better to know that about them, rather than just having this air of like, if you say that, everybody's gonna fucking hate you, so that they'll never say it, and then it's just kind of this like sleeping giant of a really harmful thing they think that nobody's ever gonna know about. So they might do some crazy shit. To everybody else, it seems completely unprovoked. I can't think of an example of what that would be, but you know what I'm saying. Like, wouldn't it be better just to be like, all right, yeah, that's Ricky. He doesn't like Hispanic people. Fucking, that's his thing. I don't agree with him at all. I don't know, that it's tough, but I do, to a certain degree, think that would make the world a little bit better. Because, not that you should just let it lie dormant, that you should just be like, that's his thing, that's what he's into, but it does allow you to kind of like get to the root of that problem, you know? It's the same, it's a tough conversation to have, but it's the same thing with like sex offenders. Like, wouldn't it be better if everybody that was attracted to children just came out and said it, so that we could fucking figure it out, give them mental health help? Because your wires are crossed wrong. If you're attracted to children, there's something wrong with you. So we got to get these people fucking help. And if we don't know, then they're liable to do something about it. And then a lot of damage can happen in that process. But if we can jump the gun and get ahead of it, then we can prevent a lot of this shit. I mean, that's just my theory on it. That's seemingly this person's theory on it. I just think that would make the world a better place if we could, like, these personality flaws that are really fucked up. It's tough because you don't want to get rid of the stigma because the stigma is correct. You know, the stigma against racism is correct. But it's hard to get people to be honest about that if there is a stigma. And if they're honest about it, then you can work on that as an issue. I agree with the sentiment here, but at the same time, it's a tough, it's like a blurred line. There's no real right answer to that. Okay. These are some crazy ones, man. Last time I did this, it was like kind of some funny ones. Like, I like fucking ranch on my pizza type shit. Just like super benign topics. And these are like real moral questions. The movie Elf is incredibly overrated. I'm not even going to give that any fucking... No, it's not. It's not. What, are you fucking kidding me? That's weird, man. That's fucking weird. Why would you say that? It's a funny fucking movie. Anything with Will Ferrell in it is fairly funny. Fairly? That's not good. I shouldn't have said that. But you ever seen Daddy's Home? Daddy's Home is a bad movie. It's just a straight across the board bad movie. Poorly written, poorly put together. The jokes in it are not that funny, but Will Ferrell makes it super bearable. I would say the same thing about The Other Guys. If Will Ferrell wasn't in The Other Guys, that wouldn't be a good movie. People wouldn't like that movie. He saves movies like nobody else. I've never seen a comedic actor that can jump into a movie and make it 10,000 times better just by their presence. Will Ferrell is so good at that shit. Like, he could... I think him and his agent have a thing where it's like, what's the worst script I've gotten this month? And they read it and they're like, this is dog shit. And it's like a challenge. Like, all right, I'm going to do this movie and I'm going to make it a fucking good movie. He just has that ability. Now, Elf, I think, is a pretty good movie. Now, Bad Santa is the funniest Christmas movie. That's not an argument. That's just a statement of fact. It's the funniest. But Elf is pretty funny. And it's pretty, I don't know, endearing, heartwarming. It's a cool idea for a movie, for a Christmas movie. Like, it's taking this, like, magical world of Santa Claus and elves and bringing it into the real world, like the real cruel world of New York City. I don't know. It's a good movie, and you can have your own opinion. Obviously, this person does, but I just disagree wholeheartedly. Sharing posts on social media is not activism. Yeah. You got it. Hit the nail on the head. I've seen this as an opinion before, but... And I agree. I agree that if you're just going around sharing a bunch of posts on social media and doing nothing about it, that's not at all activism. It's actually kind of hypocritical. Because you're like, people need to do something about this, but not me. Not me. I put the information out there, so I did my part. That's fucking stupid. But I think a lot of people that do share posts on social media do the legwork as well. There's people out there doing the fucking legwork. There's people volunteering and giving their time to great causes. And I think a lot of them want to share those causes. You know, they feel very strongly about them, so they put them on social media. You know, I would say my sister is one of these people. My sister posts a lot of stuff on social media that's kind of activism related, and she does the fucking legwork. She really does. So I think there's people out there that really do it, and then there's some people, like the person that posted this, that don't do any legwork and don't do the social media thing, and they're kind of just sick of seeing it saturating their social media pages, which is understandable. It's understandable. Like, if that's all you're seeing all the time on your social media, it can kind of get annoying, especially if there's a lot of people there that you know are just jumping on this like social justice bandwagon. Like, oh, everybody else is saying this right now, so I'm going to post it so I seem like a good person. That it is annoying. But there's enough people out there actually doing the work that I don't get too bothered by it, but I understand where they're coming from with that. It's not activism in and of itself. Absolutely not. Going to the movies on the first date is an awful choice. Fuck you. No. No. I disagree completely. Completely disagree on that one. That's a great first date. You know, who doesn't love the movies? The movies is a phenomenal date. It's a phenomenal outing. I love going to the movies. I've always loved movies have been a big part of my life for a very long time, and I've always loved the movie theater experience. I don't think I'll ever dislike it. Because watching a movie at your house, man, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I'm watching a movie at the house, even if it's a really good movie, I'll become disinterested because there's so much to do at my house. It's your fucking house. Everything you need is there. All the food, all the entertainment, all the shit, all the privacy in the world. You can do anything you want. So when you sit down to watch a movie, if there's ever a lull in the movie, but it's building plot, but it's not the most interesting part of the movie, then you might just become disinterested. Start looking on your phone, doing all sorts of bullshit, and it takes you out of the experience. A movie theater is everybody, we're getting locked into this room. Not technically locked, but you know what I'm saying. Like, we're just stuffing ourselves in this room. Nobody fucking turn on your phones. Everybody turn that shit off. Nobody's looking at that. If I see a phone, I'm going to yell at you. I'm going to yell. I'm going to do that whisper yell, like, turn that fucking phone off. That type of shit, like the movie theater yell. And we're all going to experience this movie in high definition on a big fat fucking screen, eat some popcorn. It's great. It's great. And the reason it's a good first date is because a lot of first date experiences is you don't really know the person yet. You don't know the person. And honestly, the first date is not about getting to know the person. The second date is about getting to know the person. The first date is this person psychotic? It's a kind of a tester date. Is this person a fucking psycho? And I think you can kind of tell that in a movie theater. A restaurant is another good indicator. Like, are they a dick to the wait staff? That's a big one. But, all right, so we go to this movie. Are they cool? Are they just kind of chill? Do they go on their phone during the movie? Do they interrupt the movie? Do they talk in the movie theater? But it's just a way that you can kind of just be with each other for an extended period of time without having to have too much awkward conversation to break the ice. And then you have an icebreaker. You saw a movie together. It was a lot of fun. And then you guys can talk about the movie. Like, you have something instantly to have a great conversation about. That's a great first date option, I think. I don't know. I just don't think the first date is too much about getting to know everything about the person. Movies that display a working parent as the villain are automatically ruined. That's tough. From just glancing at the little bit of, all these posts, they have some explanation below them that I haven't been reading just because you get the idea from the title. From their explanation, they're trying to say that a lot of movies have this like working parent character that's just working their ass off, and they don't spend enough time with their family, so they become the villain of the movie. And like, that's a shitty way to show a working parent, because a lot of working parents, they're working their ass off for their family so their family can eat and thrive and be okay. Like, and that's not a bad thing at all. I sort of agree. I think let's take a movie like Elf. Where the dad in that movie is a curmudgeon. He's so caught up in his work that it makes him like not cool around his family. Even when he is spending time with his family, like, he's kind of just been so hardened and brittle by his work that he's not fun to be around, and he doesn't engage with his family in a meaningful way. That's a good way to show that character. Somebody that's just been too engulfed in what they do for a living, but just somebody that spends too much time at work. They're working. They're trying to feed these fucking kids. How expensive kids are? I don't. I don't have them, but I hear they're pretty expensive. You got to pay for all that. You got to pay for their food. You got to pay for their school supplies. You got to pay for their clothes, for them to do fun things. There's a lot of financial expense that comes with having a child. And then you also got to put a new room in your house so they can have a place to sleep. It's just a lot. And showing somebody as a working parent, and that's the only thing that makes them unlikable, I don't think that necessarily makes them unlikable. I also will say that the step parent trope in movies, like it's kind of the Cinderella trope where like the evil stepmother, that one, it's not as frequent anymore because I think Hollywood and people in general got hip to how stupid it is. Like, step parents are fucking awesome. Not all of them. People are people and some people are dicks, but I think if somebody's going to jump into a relationship just because they care about another person so much that they're willing to accept their kids as a part of their new family, these kids that are yours that you had with somebody else, I'm going to jump just because I care about you so much. I'm going to look after them and, be kind of a parental figure in their lives. Take on all this new responsibility for you. That's awesome. I think a lot of people that are step parents, they're really unsung heroes in this world. I don't know, man. Yeah, no, that's a trope that I hate in movies in general. Here's one. Okay, here's one that's a little bit more fun and less goddamn serious. These have all been so serious. I swear, last time I did this, they were not that serious. A spoon is superior to a knife when it comes to spreading condiments on sandwiches. 1000% agree. Depends on the condiment. Peanut butter's maybe a little bit of a different one because a knife is really solid for spreading peanut butter evenly. But most things, a spoon, you scoop it, you drop it on there, you spread her out. A little bit of strawberry rhubarb jam, you know what I'm saying? That's a great spreading technique. A knife sometimes, man, it just doesn't do the job. And I think butter, like peanut butter is a little bit different, but butter's like brittle, man. Like you're trying to evenly spread it on the bread. And it, like, sometimes it just melts in all right away because the bread is toast and it's too hot. Peanut butter doesn't do that. So you can just spread it and have a good time. But butter, I think a spoon is way better because you're kind of like crushing as you go. You're crushing as you're spreading. This person's on another level. IQ 1000. God level IQ. I totally agree. Clubbing is very overrated and gets boring after a while. I don't go to nightclubs, so I don't know. I can't really answer this one with any real information. I will say that ever since I was a kid, I never understood bars. I never understood the idea of a bar because I kind of looked at it like price-wise. I was thinking, okay, you can get a bottle of liquor for like a good bottle of liquor, a pretty nice one, not just like the cheap bottom shelf nonsense. A decent bottle of liquor for like $40. And there's no way you're killing a bottle of liquor yourself unless you kind of have a problem. So you and your buddies can like have a great time, play fucking Dungeons and Dragons or some shit, watch some movies, play video games, do your thing. And just have yourself a time getting fucked up. I didn't understand the bar thing. Now, I think bars are really good for getting laid. That's kind of what they're for in a social sense. And I think clubbing is the same way. It's for a lot of people just to go get laid. So that's the advantage. Fuck me. I thought I turned the ringer off. That's the advantage of a club is that, you can't really get laid just drinking with your buddies home alone. That's impossible unless your Tinder game is way better than mine is. My Tinder game is fucking weak, dude. It's weak. I just can't carry on a conversation with strangers. You ever notice this about Tinder? I'm getting off topic, but we're almost done here, so I'm just going to talk about this for a second. You ever notice on Tinder how it's just a cleverness competition to a certain point? It's everybody wants to be more clever than the last person so they can seem smart and impressive. So they'll send you something and be like, make a little quick joke. And then you have to respond back with your own little quick joke. And then they do it again. And you're like, what are we fucking doing here? What are we doing? I'm putting in so much mental energy into like thinking of the perfect thing to say that it's kind of like quirky and fun and funny. I don't want to do that. Can't we just put our intentions on the table first? Like, what are you looking for on this app? Okay. Either our intentions match or they don't. And then we can move on or we can continue. And then we can actually start to talk. I don't like phones. I don't like texting. I don't like any of that shit. It's not ever really been for me. I like face-to-face communication, and I don't even like that much. I like to be alone. I like to seclude myself. I'm a very anxious person, and I do not like human connection that much. I like a little bit. I like a little bit, like salt on my eggs. Not too much, just enough, and then I go back to just staying in my room and being scared of the world. That's my bread and butter right there. But I think that's going to do it for this week. I had a lot of fun with this, but Jesus Christ, these were serious. These were some serious-ass topics. If there's another Reddit thread that kind of has some interesting jumping off points like this one, let me know. There's a few others that I want to do, but I like this one a lot, despite the controversy behind it. And go check out our other podcast, me and my buddy Mikey. We do every Wednesday and Sunday. It's called the LSD Podcast, the Let's Start Dreaming Podcast. Check out this one next week. I come out with this one every Tuesday. And hope you guys have a good one. That was a terrible way to end it. I just lost all fucking energy at the end there. Drink RC Cola, sway for president. Hope you guys have a good week.